Why, yes, Odin, I am worthy. Mama. What in the seven hells was that? I don't know.
Hey folks, my name is Leif, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel called Devs and Dice, where I paint miniatures or craft terrain for the tabletop. Today I'm going to share or show you how I motivated myself to paint a mini I really wasn't that fond of, the Raging Troll from Wizkids Miniatures. Now in all earnest, there is nothing really wrong with the Wizkids Raging Troll miniature. I really just don't like the aesthetics of the trolls in Dungeons & Dragons world. And this really of course affected my motivation quite a lot. Now before we go into that, I see that only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel. If you enjoy the content, then please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. The content is entirely free and you can change your mind at any point. Alright, with that, let's get into it. So here is the Raging Troll from Wizkids Miniatures. It looks pretty much like the old troll, to be honest, and I can't really find any stat blocks for it, but I guess this is just a pissed off troll. As usual, you can see that this miniature is covered with mold lines, and these mold lines have been nicely covered with a primer. So I decided to give the little troll a bath in the old IPA alcohol. Now this didn't take all that long, it actually just perhaps was in there for an hour or so. And then I started scrubbing with a used toothbrush and a used brush that I actually cut down the bristles on. You can see that the primer is coming off nicely, and this just makes it so much easier to see what is actual mold line and what is just, you know, gloppy on sprayed on primer. But eventually I got most of the primer off, and at this point I had a somewhat clean model which I could start to remove mold lines on. Now as usual, I prefer to use a scalpel or a sharp knife to remove all of those mold lines. And as you can see, I have in the end a quite nice and clean troll. Now this I just super glued onto the base that came with the miniature. And I don't know if you noticed there, but I like to cut a few grooves into the bottom of the miniature just to sort of give the super glue something to adhere to. Now when it came to basing, I figured I would keep it simple, so I just used some basing material that I had from Army Painter. Here I am just trying to really feather out that pre-built base that it comes with, just so that the seams are not as obvious. And here I'm just using a little bit of super glue accelerator to expedite the process. Okay, it's primed, but I was still not motivated. So what was I to do? I of course challenged myself. See, back in July 2019, I painted the original Wizkids Troll. The models are quite similar and their only real difference is the pose. This was a chance for me to see if I had progressed as a miniature painter, or actually regressed. The old troll took me about an evening, 3-4 hours of painting to finish. So the challenge for myself was to paint the Raging Troll in less than that, but hopefully to a higher quality. Yikes. So let's see how that went down. Okay, I was motivated at this point. I really wanted to pretty much use the same equipment and the same paints I used way back when. And I'll be totally honest, I'm pretty sure I didn't have the Army Painter wet palette at that time. I did, however, have the Army Painter paints, brushes, and my own homemade wet palette. Now, painting this troll, I started out really blocking in the basic colors. The shadows, I did a mixture of brown and black just to get a darker black. And then for the actual skin, I just stippled on using that big nice brush, some green here and there. It's a nice way to feather out sort of the different tones and also to keep some of that zenithal priming showing through. And then eventually I started with the next tone and started stippling where I perceived that the light should be. And this was actually quite an organic process, and I really liked just to sort of have a limited palette to work with. It made everything so much easier, and you'll see in the end that the palette looked quite messy in the end. Now, I knew I wanted some beige colors, so I took an array of different beige colors up to sort of off-white and white colors and added that to my palette, and you'll see that I'm mixing quite wild here. I sort of felt like ironically enough, the few colors actually opened my mind up for mixing and just painting, just, keeping it fast, because this was a speed paint. I wanted to easily clear this in 2 hours, and not counting drying times, of course, but yeah, I also had a hair dryer most of the time, so drying times wasn't really anything I had to worry about. Now, I'm just trying to sort of, get all of the highlights where I think they should be and get special attention to the face and that very protruding nose. Now, the old troll I had painted, I really felt like I went overboard with the colors there, and I don't know about my brush control. I haven't painted minis in some weeks because, well, work has been busy, and also I've been focusing on terrain. So my brush control can be a little so-so, but I have to say that one thing I've been looking into more and more is color theory. And you can, discard it as some sort of artsy-fartsy thing, but you know what? It actually works. It works pretty nice. And once you start understanding, what colors do, their different hues, the different intensities, it really actually opens up your world to new ways to paint and new ways to achieve what you want. Here you can see I am just trying to build up some of the details, and I'm really liking where this troll is going so far. And he had, I don't know, about 2 gazillion warts everywhere. Here I'm coming in with a little bit of an, perhaps a weird color, but it's barbarian flesh, and this is this really sort of pink fleshy tone. And I wanted to just not stop with that brighter sand color on his, or beige color on his chest. I wanted there be hints of actual flesh. Plus, I don't know, just the color combination between this pink and that green really actually complements each other very nicely. Again, something I figured out looking at my color wheel, which I have handy. And here I'm really trying to give that nose a little bit more detail by making it a little bit pinkish. And also I'm coming in on the inside of the palms and his arms just to sort of give it a little bit of a pinkish tone. Here you can see that I'm actually glazing in some dragon red on the nose and on the hands just to sort of give a little bit variation and intensity in terms of how saturated that pink is. And here I am just using some of that black. I'm creating my own, I guess, wash, you could call it. It's wash glazing, whatever, just to sort of darken down the eyes so I can then come in with some white and start defining the eyes. And there you go. You can see that, there are eyes there. He looks a little bit wonky, and I had to, I think, try at least 2 times before I got the eyes somewhat okay. Now, when it came to the base, I chose the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, and I just made it sort of dirt brown, and then I colored it a slight darker underneath him, just to sort of simulate a shadow. Once that had dried, I basically dry brushed everything, and here you can see how my palette looked, and it was quite an exhilarating experience, to be honest. Now, you might think, why did you do all of that painting if you're going to cover it up? Well, I don't know. A lot of people say that when you're speed painting, you should plan. None of this was really planned, I have to say. So this was just, I guess, instinctive or, reacting to what happened. But here I'm coming in with that crushed coconut fiber mixture, and just to sort of give it that nice forest floor feeling. Now, to top this off, I am of course going to come in with some tufts, and for this I'm using swamp tufts and a little bit of flowers just to give an accent somewhere on the base. And you don't have to, but I usually like to take a dab of white glue just to make sure that the tufts won't be going anywhere. And I actually got a comment here that I really jam those tufts in there. And I don't know if it's a personal pet peeve of mine, but I really want my tufts to look like they're coming from the ground, not laying on top of the ground. And at this point, I think we're getting close to have a look at the old troll and the new troll. Alright folks, so if you're still with me, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching. Which troll is better painted? Have I progressed or regressed as a painter in these 2 years? Please feel free to tell me what you think down in the comment section down below. Now if you liked the video, then do click the like button and please consider subscribing. All of that good stuff helps the channel out massively. Of course, the best way to help me to make more content is to pledge a few dollars and join my Patreon. And on that note, I want to thank my dear patrons for their support over the past weeks. So thank you Andrew Cummings, Michael Milligan, Nicholas O'Sullivan, Rice P, Shane Murphy, Stefan Winter, Sunny Headcase, Volker Görler, Blake Crowell, Bo Ahlgren, Chris Gropp, and a special shout out goes to my champion level patrons Chris Sagers, 4VXP, Mad Nurse, and a special for my legend level patron, Leander. Thank you everyone, you are amazing. Now for all of my viewers, I wish you an awesome day, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.